Hi there, everyone, and welcome to this week's family devotion. I hope you're enjoying our journey through the book of Genesis so far. Today we'll be picking up where Sunday's sermon left off in Genesis 21. We'll be covering verses 8 through 34. Verse 1 of chapter 21 picks back up with what God had mentioned in chapter 18, verse 10, where God had said, "I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah your wife will have a son." The stories of Lot and Abraham have occupied most of the author's attention for the last 3 chapters, and now with no further wait, he returns to his previous thought. It's hard not to notice the similarities between this chapter and chapters 16 and 17, and together they stress that God heard Hagar and Ishmael. In fact, Ishmael's name means God hears. But not only does he hear, he acts. He fulfills his promises to multiply their descendants into a great nation. Now, just as Ishmael was blessed and destined to become a great nation, so once again, God has promised to make him a great nation simply because he's Abraham's offspring. But Abraham's act of disobedience by going ahead of God was not without consequences. It causes tension in his marriage with Sarah. It causes tension between Sarah and Hagar, and it will ultimately cause tension between the descendants of Ishmael and Isaac, really until Christ returns. But God has been faithful to both sides throughout the ages. He's blessed Abraham to be a blessing, so much so that others begin to take notice. And with the introduction of Abimelech in verse 22, we're forced to ask, why are attentions constantly being drawn to the fact that Abraham's dwelling with the Philistines? Well, perhaps it's to portray Abraham as one who's yet to really experience the fulfillment of all God's promises. So we see here a picture of Abraham who doesn't live out all his days in the promised land, but spends many of his days in exile. And even Isaac is not born into the promised land, but rather he's born in exile and must sojourn there with his father, wandering from nation to nation, from one kingdom to another. And the intention of the writer seems to parallel the writer of Hebrews in chapter 11 when he talks about how Abraham left his father's land and came to the promised land. He lived there like a stranger in a foreign country. Both he and Isaac were strangers in a foreign land. So what are we to make of all this? Well, the picture of Abraham in exile really exemplifies God's divine care for the righteous who must suffer while waiting to enter the land. And the servants of Abimelech, they steal Abraham's wells, but because God is faithful to Abraham, he makes a covenant and he restores it to him. So we too, as Christians, are living in exile. Our citizenship is not of this world, it's in heaven, but we remain here for a specific purpose. We've been blessed to be a blessing, both to God and the world around us. You know, others had taken notice of the fact that Abraham had been blessed by God. He's blessed us with every spiritual blessing in the heavenly places. He chose us in him before the foundation of the world that we would be holy and blameless. So how are others to know that we've been blessed by God? Well, if we live a life that's holy and blameless. I want to close today by reading the lyrics of a hymn, "Let Others See Jesus in You." It says, "While passing through this world of sin, and others your life shall view, be clean and pure without within, let others see Jesus in you." Your life's a book before their eyes. They're reading it through and through. Say, does it point them to the skies? Do others see Jesus in you? What joy it will be at the set of the sun and mansions beyond the blue to find some souls that you have won. Let others see Jesus in you. Then live for Christ both day and night. Be faithful, be brave and true, and lead the lost to life and light. Let others see Jesus in you. Let others see Jesus in you. So let's ask ourselves today, can others look at our life? Can they look at your life? Can they look at my life and see that God has blessed us with everything we need to live a holy and blameless life? The proof of our faith is in our actions, and the world is watching. So what message does your life proclaim to the watching world? That's the question I'll leave you guys with today. God bless you. I hope you've enjoyed our journey through Genesis so far. We look forward to seeing you next time.